الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربي زدني علما ربي زدني علما ربي زدني علما آمين يا رب العالمين. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Welcome to a yet another exciting course from Team CIFIA. This course content has been created under the guidance of Shaykh Mir Abdul Qadir, and I am a member of Team CIFIA, going to be your trainer today. Together, you and I will go into this exciting journey of learning about this important concept of Sahih Iman. So, welcome aboard. Shaikh Abdul Qadir Jeelani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. This course content is divided into the following lectures. Introduction. Mehboob Subhani, Khutb Rabbani, Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jeelani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu is Ghaus al-Aghwas. His feet are over the necks of all awliya Allah. In the other world, every Ghaus stands in his audience like an obedient student stands in front of his teacher. During the audience, his chair is placed at an elevated place, and all Aghwas and prominent awliya Allah sit below as per their status awarded to them as a sadaqah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No one is allowed to talk unless permitted to do so in front of Ghaus al-Azam radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. What a magnanimous stature! Ghaus al-Azam radiyallahu ta'ala anhu is my grand Shaykh and a great teacher from whose hand I received innumerable bounties. His guidance and assistance has been vital for me during my journey on the intrinsic path of Islam. You need to be selfless, Sahih al-Aqidah Ahl Sunnah. In addition, your love of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his Ahl Bayt and awliya Allah should be truthful. These qualities can only be developed in the company of a true Shaykh of Ihsan. He will take you to the audience of Ghaus al-Azam radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. And if you are lucky, you will also learn a lot under Ghaus al-Azam radiyallahu ta'ala anhu's guidance. Eventually, you will be rewarded with the audience of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and receive his shafa on the day of judgment. These are plain facts. Ignorant and undeserving people cannot comprehend these facts. It is in Quran, the one who is blind in this world will be blind in hereafter. Al-Isra 72. This course provides a brief account of his life and works. It is an interesting course for all sincere Ahl Sunnah. Shaykh Mir Abdul Qadir. Blessed birth. Shaykh Muhyiddin Abu Muhammad Abdul Qadir al-Jeelani al-Ghaus al-Azam radiyallahu ta'ala anhu was born in 470 AH, 1077 AD, and died in 561 AH, 1166 AD. The lunar month of Rabi al-Akhir is celebrated as the month of Ghaus al-Azam radiyallahu ta'ala anhu by Muslims all over the world. People organize gatherings, do Fatiha and Ithal Thawab, arrange lectures about the life history and teachings of Ghaus al-Azam radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, and organize Sama Mehfils. Pious parents. The lineage of Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jeelani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu is known as Golden Chain, as both his parents were descendants of the Apostle Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Shaykh's noble father, Abdullah Abu Saleh Jangi Dost radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, traced his descent to Imam Hassan radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, while his revered mother, al-Khair Fatima radiyallahu ta'ala anha, traced hers to Imam Hussain radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. It is reported that his father, Abdullah Abu Saleh Jangi Dost radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, in his teens, was sitting by the bank of a river. He saw an apple floating down the bank of the river. He picked it up and ate it, but soon realized that he ate the apple without paying the cost to its owner. He set out in search of the owner, upstream on the bank of the river, and reached an apple orchard. He entered the orchard, met the owner named Abdullah Somai rahmatullah alayh and told him about the apple he has eaten and asked for the price of the apple. The picture shows Mazar of Shaykh Abdullah Abu Saleh Jangidos radiyallahu ta'ala anhu in Jilan, Iran. The owner of the orchard was a Wali Allah who spotted the gem in the youth. He told Abu Saleh radiyallahu ta'ala anhu that as the apple was very costly and if he really wants to pay the cost of the apple, he should serve him for 1 year, looking after the orchard. Abu Saleh radiyallahu ta'ala anhu agreed. However, Abdullah Somai rahmatullah alayh did not relieve Abu Saleh radiyallahu ta'ala anhu at the end of the stipulated 1 year duration, and the time was extended a few times. Finally, when Abu Saleh radiyallahu ta'ala anhu told Abdullah Somai rahmatullah alayh that it looks he has fairly compensated him by serving his orchard for a long time and he should be allowed to leave, Abdullah Somai rahmatullah alayh agreed on the condition that Abu Saleh radiyallahu ta'ala anhu marries his daughter Sayyida Fatima radiyallahu ta'ala anha, who was blind, deaf, mute and handicapped. When Abu Saleh radiyallahu ta'ala anhu looked at his bride after marriage, to his surprise, he found her to be exceptionally beautiful, without any physical defects, as described by her father. The next morning, Abu Saleh radiyallahu ta'ala anhu complained to his father-in-law that he found her the opposite to what he had described about her. Abdullah Somai rahmatullah alayh insisted on the truthfulness of his statement, saying she was blind because she had not seen any ghair mahram. She was mute because she had not uttered a word repugnant to the Islamic Sharia. She was deaf because she had not heard anything inconsistent with the Sharia. She was handicapped because she never took a step in the wrong direction. Ghawsul Azam Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jeelani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu was born to these pious parents in 470 AH. It is reported that within a few years of his birth, his father died. He was looked after by his mother and his maternal grandfather. A few years later, his maternal grandfather also died. Shaykh spent his childhood in Naif, the town of his birth in Jilan. When he was about 5 years old, his mother enrolled him into a local madrasa. He studied there for 5 years till he was 10 years old. Travel to Baghdad. At the age of 18, 488 AH to 1095 AD, Shaykh took permission from his mother to move to Baghdad for higher studies. Baghdad was then the capital of Abbasid Caliphate and the hub of knowledge in the Islamic world, vibrant with spiritual and intellectual activities. This was also a period of political upheaval when the Crusaders were active in Palestine, Syria and Turkey. Shaykh described the episode of his travel to Baghdad as follows. Quote, "Once I saw a cow walking on the way in Naif in front of me. Suddenly it turned towards me and said, 'O Abdul Qadir radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, you were not created to spend your time this way.' I was scared and rushed back home and climbed over the roof. That day was Yawm al-Arafah, 9th Dhul Hijjah. On the roof, Allah removed all veils from my eyes and I started seeing people doing Hajj in Arafat. I described the happenings of the day to my mother and requested her to dedicate me to Allah and allow me to proceed to Baghdad for acquisition of knowledge. My pious mother would not stand in the way of my devotion to Allah. She shed silent tears as she knew she would get separated from her son, but did not know for how long her son will be away from her. She sewed 40 dinars into my garment so that they might not be lost. It was my half share of the money left by my father. The other half was kept for my brother. I joined a small caravan which was going to Baghdad. At the time of parting, my mother took a vow from me that I would not lie under any circumstance. The caravan passed safely as far as Hamadan, but beyond that place, a band of highwaymen, 60 horsemen strong, attacked us. They took everything that everyone had. One of the horsemen came to me and asked, "Young man, what possessions do you have?" I told him that I had 40 gold dinars. He said, "Where?" I told him, "Under the armpit of my coat." He laughed and left. Another bandit came and asked me the same question, and I told him the truth. He also left. They must have reported the incident to their head, because he called me to the place where they were dividing the booty. He asked if I had any valuables. I told him that I had 40 dinars sewn in my garment under my arm. He took my coat, tore the armpit and found 40 gold dinars. He asked me in amazement, "When your money was safe, what compelled you to insist on telling us that you had it and where it was hidden?" I answered, "I must tell the truth under any circumstances, because I have promised my mother." When the chief of the bandits heard this, he wept and said, "I reneged on my promise to the one who created me. I stole and killed. What will happen to me?" And the others, seeing him, said, "You have been our leader all these years in sinning. Now be our leader in repenting." All 60 of them held my hand and repented and changed their ways. Those 60 are the first who took my hand and found forgiveness for their sins. Unquote. It is in Quran, "Behold the friends of Allah. On them shall come no fear, nor shall they grieve. These are they who have believed in Allah and are mindful of, close to Him, and have consequently abstained from everything evil. To them tidings come from Allah of a happy life, both in this world and in hereafter. The word of Allah is never revoked. This in itself is a great felicity." Yunus 62-64. Alright, this concludes the lecture. Take a breather and we will get back in a minute to continue this journey of learning. Life in Baghdad. The following is Sheikh's statement about his stay in Baghdad. Quote, "I studied with many teachers in Baghdad, but whenever I couldn't understand something or came upon a secret that I wished to know, it was Shaykh ad-Dabbas, d. 525 AH, 1131 AD, who would enlighten me. Sometimes I would leave him to seek knowledge from others, to learn theology, traditions, religious law, and other sciences. Each time I returned, he would tell me, 'Where have you been? We have had so much wonderful food for our bodies, minds, and souls while you were gone, and we haven't kept a thing for you.' At other times, he would say, 'For Allah's sake, where do you go? Is there anyone around here who knows more than you do?' Unquote. Sheikh's teachers. Shaykh studied under many shuyukh in Baghdad, like first Abu Sa'id Mubarak ibn al-Mukharrami, his Shaykh al-Tariqat; second, Shaykh ibn Akhil al-Hanbali; third, Abu al-Hasan Muhammad ibn Khadi Abu Yali; fourth, Abu al-Khattab Mahfuz Hanbali; fifth, Muhammad ibn al-Husnain; sixth, Hamad ibn Muslim al-Dabbas; seventh, Abu Zakaria ibn Yahya ibn Ali al-Tabrizi; 8th, Abu Bakr ibn Muzaffar; 9th, Muhammad ibn al-Hasan Bakhalai Abu Sa'id; 10th, Muhammad ibn Abdul Karim; 11th, Abu al-Ghanaim Muhammad ibn Muhammad Ali ibn Maimun al-Farsi; 12th, Abu Bakr Ahmad ibn al-Muzaffar; 13th, Abu Jafar ibn Ahmad ibn al-Husayn al-Qari; 14th, Abu al-Qasim Ali ibn Muhammad ibn Banan al-Karki; 15th, Abu Talib Abdul Qadir ibn Muhammad Yusuf; 16th, Abdul Rahman ibn Ahmad Abu al-Barkat Hibtullah ibn al-Mubarak; 17th, Abu al-Nasr ibn al-Mukhtar; 18th, Abu al-Nasr Muhammad; 19th, Abu Ghalib Ahmad; 20th, Abu Abdullah Ali al-Bana; 21st, Abu al-Hasan al-Mubarak ibn al-Tayvari radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma jameen. Shaykh disapproved the scholars and shuyukh who maintained close ties with the rulers or visited them often and benefited from them in any way at the cost of performing their religious responsibilities. After his formal education, Shaykh spent 25 years as a reclusive wanderer in the desert regions of Iraq. He told about his recluse as follows, quote, "During my stay in the deserts outside Baghdad, all that appears beautiful of this world came to seduce me. Allah protected me from their harm. The devil, appearing in different forms and shapes, kept coming to me, tempting me, bothering me, and fighting with me. Allah rendered me victorious over him. My nafs visited me daily in my own form and shape, begging me to be its friend. When I would refuse, it would attack me. Allah rendered me victorious in my continuous fight against it. Over a period, I was able to make it my prisoner, and I kept it with me all those years, forcing it to stay in the ruins of the desert. A whole year, I ate the grass and roots I could find and did not drink any water. Another year, I neither ate nor drank nor slept. All this time, I lived in the ruins of the ancient kings of Persia in Kark. I walked barefoot over the desert thorns and didn't feel a thing. Whenever I saw a cliff, I climbed it. I didn't give a minute's rest or comfort to my nafs. After long recluses, I came to Baghdad and spent a few days there. Soon, I could not stand the sedition, mischief, and intrigue that dominated the city. To save myself from the harm of this degenerated city and to save my faith, I left. All I took with me was my Quran. As I came to the gate of the city on my way for more seclusion in the desert, I heard a voice. "Where are you going?" it said. "Return. You must serve the people." Unquote. Teaching in Baghdad. Shaykh Mubarak ibn al-Mukarrami radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, the Shaykh al-Tariqat of Shaykh Abdul Qadir radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, used to teach at his school at Bab al-Azj in Baghdad. He gave it to Shaykh Abdul Qadir radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Shaykh was 50 years old when he started teaching at this school. Shaykh's teaching was effective and miraculous, which resulted in swelling of students' congregations. Soon there was no place either in or around the school to accommodate the students. The school had to be expanded. Rich and poor helped in adding new buildings, the rich aiding financially and the poor helping with their labor. The madrasa became famous as Madrasa Qadriya, and Shaykh's followers and murideen were identified as followers of Tariqa Qadriya. Shaykh was recorded talking about his teaching at the school as follows, quote, "One morning, I saw the Apostle of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He asked me, 'Why do you not speak?' I said, 'I am a Persian. How can I speak in the beautiful Arabic of Baghdad?' 'Open your mouth,' he said. I did. He blew his breath 7 times in my mouth and said, 'Go, address mankind and invite them to the path of your Lord with wise and beautiful words.' I performed my noon prayer and turned to see many people waiting for me to speak. When I saw them, I became tongue-tied. Then I saw the blessed Imam Ali radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. He came to me and asked me to open my mouth, then blew his own breath into it 6 times. I asked, 'Why did you not blow 7 times like the Apostle of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam?' He said, 'Because of my respect for him,' and disappeared. From then on, whether I was awake or asleep, I kept up my responsibility of teaching. There was such an immense amount of knowledge about faith and religion in me. If I did not talk and pour it out, I felt that it would drown. When I started teaching, there were a small number of students. When they heard me, their numbers increased to over 70,000. Unquote. Shaykh's lectures were attended by thousands of people. The nobles, the rulers, scholars, and even jinn were reported to be regular listeners of his sermons. He used to deliver public sermons 3 times a week. Every day, in the morning and the afternoon, he used to give lessons in Quranic exegesis, prophetic traditions, theology, religious law, and Sufism. After midday prayers, he will advise and provide consultation to people who used to gather at the madrasa. Before sunset, he used to distribute food among the poor. It is reported that his servants used to stand at the door asking passers-by if they were hungry, so that they could share the Shaykh's table. Shaykh went for pilgrimage to Makkah twice, the first time in 505 of 1112, when he was hardly known to people. In this trip, he met Shaykh Uday bin Musafir, d. 557 of 1162. By the time Shaykh travelled for Hajj the second time, in 555 of 1160, he had become one of the most famous Sufi shuyukh with countless followers everywhere. During this trip, he met famous Moroccan Shaykh Abu Midian, d. 594 of 1197. His mother, who had come to live in Baghdad with him, is reported to have travelled with her son on his second pilgrimage. Alright, this concludes the lecture. Take a breather, and we will get back in a minute to continue this journey of learning. Shaykh's books. Shaykh has written many books. His famous books are: first, Al-Ghuniya li Talibi Tari al-Haq; second, Al-Fath al-Rabbani wal-Faid al-Rahmani; third, Futuh al-Ghaib; fourth, Jila al-Khatir; fifth, Sir al-Asrar; sixth, Malfuzat, etc. While he authored many books, some were compiled by his students who attended his lectures. Exalted status among awliya Allah. First, Shaykh Ahmad Kabir al-Rifai radiyallahu ta'ala anhu wrote, "No one can count the exclusive traits of Shaykh al-Jeelani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu." Tariqatul Awliya, page 100. Second, Shaykh Khwaja Muinuddin Chishti Gharib Nawaz radiyallahu ta'ala anhu was 30 years old at the time of death of Ghawsul Azam radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. He had an opportunity to meet with Ghawsul Azam radiyallahu ta'ala anhu during one of his early visits to Baghdad. It is reported that when Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jeelani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu declared, "My foot is on the necks of all awliya Allah," Gharib Nawaz radiyallahu ta'ala anhu heard it spiritually and lowered his neck and said, "Your blessed foot is on my eyes and on my head." It is said that it was through the blessing of this act of submission he was made Sultan al-Awliya al-Hind. In his book Khulasatul Maifakir, Gharib Nawaz radiyallahu ta'ala anhu has praised Ghawsul Azam radiyallahu ta'ala anhu as the greatest among awliya Allah. Third, Shaykh Shahabuddin Soharwardi radiyallahu ta'ala anhu in his book Tawfatul Qadriya has praised Ghawsul Azam radiyallahu ta'ala anhu as the greatest among awliya Allah. Fourth, it is reported that people asked Khwaja Bahauddin Naqshband radiyallahu ta'ala anhu what he has to say about the declaration of Ghawsul Azam radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, "My foot is on the neck of all awliya Allah." He said, "May his foot be on my eyes and my vision." Fifth, it is reported that once Khwaja Bahauddin Naqshband radiyallahu ta'ala anhu was travelling in desert. On his way, he met Hadrat Khizr radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Hadrat Khizr radiyallahu ta'ala anhu took him to the audience of Ghawsul Azam radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. At that time, Hadrat Bahauddin radiyallahu ta'ala anhu was not famous and was not known as Naqshband. It is reported that Ghawsul Azam radiyallahu ta'ala anhu placed his hand on the chest of Khwaja Bahauddin radiyallahu ta'ala anhu and said, "O the holder of the adornment of the worlds, hold my adornment so that they can call you Naqshband." After that incident, Hadrat Bahauddin radiyallahu ta'ala anhu became famous as Naqshband. Hadrat Bahauddin Naqshband radiyallahu ta'ala anhu wrote the following couplets in praise of Ghawsul Azam radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. which are inscribed on both the tombs of Ghaus al-Azam and Bahauddin Naqshband radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma. The king of this world and the hereafter is Shaikh Abdul Qadir. The head of the children of Adam is Shaikh Abdul Qadir. Sun, moon, heavens, the throne and the pen, they all get their light from the heart of Abdul Qadir. Sixth, Shaykh Baqa states that once he accompanied Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jeelani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu to the tomb of Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. He says, I saw Shaykh Imam Ahmad radiyallahu ta'ala anhu's grave split open, and he emerged from his blessed grave and embraced Al-Ghaus al-Azam radiyallahu ta'ala anhu and said, even I am dependent on you as Shaykh in Tariqa. 7. Shaykh Suleiman Ahmad al-Maghribi al-Shazli in his book Uzama al-Awliya has stated that the highest rank among awliya is held by Ghaus al-Azam Abdul Qadir Jeelani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. 8. Shaykh Tajuddin bin Ataullah in his book Uzam al-Awliya and Tariqa Shazuliya page 5 wrote, Hadrat Abul Hasan al-Shadili radiyallahu ta'ala anhu also sought spiritual help and guidance from Ghaus al-Azam radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. He always acknowledged his spiritual superiority. 9th, it is reported that one night 50 of the elite of Baghdad were gathered at the Shaykh's house. The company included all the great shuyukh of that time. Shaykh Abul Abdul Mughith ibn Harb was part of the gathering. He recalled the episode that night as follows, quote, that night the Shaykh was in a state of inspiration. Pearls of wisdom poured from his mouth. All of us were in a perfect state of peace and bliss, of a kind we had never experienced before. A moment came when the Shaykh pointed to his foot and declared, this foot is over the necks of all awliya Allah. No sooner he had said this than one of his students, Shaykh Ali ibn al-Hili, threw himself at his master's feet. He took the Shaykh's foot and placed it upon his neck. Then all the rest of us did the same. Unquote. Shaykh Abu Sa'id al-Kailawi, who was also present then, stated the following, Bahjatul Asrar, page 14, quote, when the Shaykh said, this foot is over the necks of all awliya Allah, I felt Allah's truth manifest in my heart. I saw all the shuyukh of the world standing in his presence, filling my whole vision. The ones who were of this world were present bodily. Those who had passed away were present spiritually. The sky was filled with angels and other beings invisible to the eye. Unquote. 10. Imam Ahmad ibn Hajar Makki Shafai, d. 853 of 1448, records in his Fatawa Hadithiyah as follows. Sometimes the awliya Allah are ordered to make lofty statements to inform those who are unaware of their high status. Sometimes these statements are made to thank Allah and publicize His favors on an individual. This is similar to the sudden declaration made by Ghaus al-Azam radiyallahu ta'ala anhu in his majlis that his foot is on the necks of all the awliya Allah. They all instantly reacted by bowing their heads in confirmation, besides one person, in Ashbahan, who was then stripped of all dignity and spiritual status. Fatawa Hadithiyah, Dar al-Ihya al-Turat al-Arabi, Birat, Lebanon, page 414. 11th, Imam Abul Hasan Ali bin Yusuf narrates from Abu Muhammad Salim bin Ali Damyati, and he narrates from 6 illustrious shuyukhs who were the Sufi masters of Iraq. They were A. Abu Tahir Sarsari, B. Shaykh Abul Hasan Hafaf, C. Shaykh Abu Hafs Buraidi, D. Shaykh Abul Qasim Umar al-Dardani, E. Shaykh Abul Walid Zaid bin Saad, and F. Shaykh Abu Amr Uthman bin Sulaiman. They informed him that Abul Faraj Abdul Rahim and Abul Hasan Ali, both nephews of Sayyidi Shaykh Ahmad Rifai radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, related to them as follows. We were present in the Khanqa school with our Shaykh Sayyid Ahmad bin al-Rifai radiyallahu ta'ala anhu in al-Ubaid. Suddenly, our Shaykh moved his neck forward and said, on my neck. We inquired from him about his action and declaration. He replied, at this moment, Shaykh Abdul Qadir radiyallahu ta'ala anhu has decided in Baghdad that his foot is on the neck of all awliya Allah. Bahjat al-Asrar, published Mustafa al-Babi, Egypt, page 13. 12th, Sheikh Muhammad Majid Al-Karwi stated that his father told him that Shaikh Abdul Qadir Jeelani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu declared in his majlis that his foot is on the neck of all awliya Allah. Bahjat al-Asrar, page 32.
Alright, this concludes the lecture. Take a breather and we will get back in a minute to continue this journey of learning.
Death. Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jeelani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu died in 561 AH, 1166 AD, at the age of 91 years. Before he left this world, he looked around and said to the people present, "Others whom you do not see have come to me. Make room and show courtesy to them. I am the core without the shell. You see me with you while I am with someone else. It is best that you leave me now." Then he said, "O angel of death, I do not fear you, nor do I fear anything except him who has befriended me and has been generous to me." When his son Abdul Wahab requested him, "Give me some advice upon which to act after you have left this world," the Shaykh said, "Fear Allah and none other. Hope only from Allah and entrust all your deeds to Him. Rely on Allah and on none other. Unite with Him. Unite with Him, unite with Him." At the last moment, he raised his hands and said, "There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His Prophet. Glory be to Allah, the Exalted, the Ever-Living. Glory to Him, the All-Powerful, who overpowers His servants by death." Shaykh was buried at the madrasa, where he taught for over 40 years. His blessed shrine at the Madrasa Al-Qadriya in Baghdad is an important place of ziyarah by all Muslims of the world. Shajara-e-Tariqa, spiritual golden chain of Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jeelani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. First, Ahmad Mushtaba Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Second, Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Third, Sayyid al-Shahada Imam Hussain radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Fourth, Imam al-Abideen Zain al-Abideen radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Fifth, Imam al-Muttaqeen Muhammad Baqir radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Sixth, Imam al-Sadiqeen Muhammad Jafar Sadiq radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Seventh, Imam al-Kamileen Musa Kazim radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Eighth, Imam al-Wasileen Musa Ali Raza radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Ninth, Sheikh ad-Din Maruf Kirki radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. 10th, Sheikh Diya ad-Din Siri Saqati radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. 11th, Sheikh Junaid Baghdadi radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. 12th, Sheikh Abdullah Abu Bakr Shibli radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. 13th, Sheikh Abu al-Fadl Abd al-Wahid Tamimi radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. 14th, Sheikh Alauddin Abu al-Farah Tartusi radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. 15th, Sheikh Abu al-Hasan Ali Khuraishi Hankari radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. 16th, Sheikh Abu Sayyid Mubarak ibn al-Mukarrami radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. 17th, Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jeelani Mehboob Subhani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Shajara-e-Nasab, paternal family tree of Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jeelani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. First, Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jeelani Mehboob Subhani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Second, Sayyid Abu Saleh Musa Jangi Dost radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Third, Sayyid Abdullah Jeeli radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Fourth, Sayyid Muhammad Yahya Zahid radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. 5th, Sayyid Shamsuddin Muhammad Morris radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. 6th, Sayyid Sirajuddin Daud Amjad radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. 7th, Sayyid Musa Thani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. 8th, Sayyid Abdullah Thani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. 9th, Sayyid Musa Jaun radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. 10th, Sayyid Abdullah Al-Mahaz radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. 11th, Sayyid Hassan Musanna radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. 12th, Amir al-Mu'mineen Imam Hassan Mujtaba radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. 13th, Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Sayyidatin Nisa'i Fatima az-Zahra radiyallahu ta'ala anha. 14th, Ahmad Mujtaba Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Shajara-e-Nasab, maternal family tree of Shaikh Abdul Qadir Jeelani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. First, Ummul Khair Fatima Shah Abdul Qadir radiyallahu ta'ala anha. Second, Abdullah As-Somai Az-Zahid radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Third, Hadrat Sayyid Muhammad radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Fourth, Hadrat Sayyid Mahmud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Fifth, Hadrat Sayyid Abul Attar Abdullah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Sixth, Hadrat Sayyid Kamal Uddin Isa radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Seventh, Hadrat Abu Alauddin Muhammad Al-Jawad radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Eighth, Imam Al-Wasilin Musa Ali Raza radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Ninth, Imam Al-Kamilin Musa Kazim radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. 10th, Imam As-Sadiqin Muhammad Jafar Sadiq radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. 11th, Imam Al-Muttaqin Muhammad Bakhir radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. 12th, Imam Al-Abidin Zain Al-Abidin radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. 13th, Sayyidul Shuhada Imam Hussain radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. 14th, Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Sayyidatin Nisa'i Fatima az-Zahra radiyallahu ta'ala anha. 15th, Ahmad Mujtaba Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Alright, this concludes the lecture. Take a breather and we will get back in a minute to continue this journey of learning.
Biographical accounts. Hundreds of scholars and shuyukh have written about the life and works of the Shaykh. A few of these prominent works are listed below. First, Bustan al-Arifin, Gardens of Spiritual Shuyukhs by Shaykh Muhyiddin an-Nawawi, 631 to 676 AH. Second, Bahjat al-Asrar, Splendor of the Mysteries by Shaykh Abu al-Hasan Ali Shatanaufi of Egypt, D. 713 AH, 1314 AD. This is the first major biography of the Shaykh referred extensively by later biographers. Third, Khulasat al-Mafakhir fi Ikhtisar Munaqib al-Shaykh Abdul Qadir and Mirat al-Jinan, The Mirrors of Heavens, both the books written by Shaykh Afifuddin al-Yafi al-Shafai of Yemen, 718 to 768 AH, 1318 to 1367 AD. Fourth, Al-Bidaya wa An-Nihaya, The Beginning and the End by Ismail ibn Khatir, 701 to 774 AH, 1302 to 1373 AD. Fifth, Khalaid al-Jawahir, Necklaces of Gems by Sheikh Muhammad ibn Yahya at-Tadif, D. 963 AH, 1556 AD. He has recorded the names of more than 40 Imams and Shuyukh who have written about Shaikh Abdul Qadir Jeelani, like A. Shaykh Ahmad Rifai, D. 578 AH 1182 AD, B. Sheikh Abu Madian Shuaib 520 to 594 AH 1126 to 1198 AD, C. Sheikh Shahabuddin Umar Soharwardi 539 to 632 AH 1145 to 1234 AD, D. Imam Ahmad ibn Hajar al-Asqalani 773 to 852 AH. Ibn Hajar has quoted over a dozen biographies of Shaykh Abdul Qadir radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, written by well-known ulama. 6th, Makhtub number 12 by Shaykh Ahmad Sirhindi 972 to 1034 AH 1564 to 1625 AD. 7th, Akhbar al-Akhyar, narratives about the chosen ones by Shaykh Abdul Haq Muhaddith Dahelvi 958 to 1052 AH 1551 to 1642 AD. He also translated Shaykh's famous book Futu al-Ghair from Arabic into Persian. Scholars' views. First, Shaykh Muhammad ibn Yahya at-Tadifi in Khalaid al-Jawahir, Necklaces of Gems, wrote the following. Reference, English translations, Muhtar Holland, Al-Bas Publishing, pages 545 and 555 to 556. Quote, Shaykh is ad-Din Abd al-Aziz ibn Abd al-Salam as-Sulami as-Shafi said, the charismatic talents of Shaykh Abdul Qadir radiyallahu ta'ala anhu have been established as authentic by a consensus of numerous reporters. He is widely known for his knowledge and practice and for his meticulous attention to inner guidance, taharri, in everything he said. He is so famous, indeed, that there is no need to say further in this context. Unquote. Second, Shaykh Muhyiddin an-Nawawi wrote about Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jeelani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu in his book Bustan al-Arifin, Orchard of Those Endowed with Direct Knowledge, as follows. Quote, in all that has reached us from trustworthy reporters concerning the charismatic talents of Awliya Allah, we learn of none more numerous than the charismatic talents of the Shaykh of Baghdad, Muhyiddin Abdul Qadir Jeelani radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. He was the Shaykh of the Shafi'i and Hanbali authorities in Baghdad. Leadership in the sphere of knowledge devolved upon him in his day and age. Innumerable notable figures received their education in his fellowship, and most of the preeminent sheikhs of Iraq became affiliated to him. His teaching was propagated by a host of those endowed with splendid spiritual states. His countless students included many of the masters of exalted spiritual stations. The sheikhs and scholars were unanimous in declaring him worthy of the greatest honor and respect, in confirming his authority, in referring to his statements, and in having recourse to his judgment. He was exclusive in his attributes, noble in his traits of character, perfectly refined in his manners, and his chivalry, murua, extremely humble, constantly cheerful, abundantly endowed with knowledge and intelligence, and strict in his adherence to the word of the sacred law and its rules. To the word of the sacred law and its rules. He treated the people of knowledge with profound respect and honored them committed to the religion and the sunnah. He hated those addicted to heretical innovation and passionate desires. He loved those who seek the truth, haqq, with constant dedication to the sacred struggle, mujahada, and unremitting vigilance, muraqaba. He had an exalted way of speaking about the esoteric sciences, ulum al-marif. His anger was intense whenever the sanctuaries of Allah were violated. He was open-handed and magnanimous in the most beautiful way. To put it in a nutshell, there was none like him in his day and age. Unquote. Third, Shah Waliullah Dahelvi, 1703 to 1762, who belonged to the Naqshbandi Mujaddidi lineage, praised Ghaus al-Azam radiyallahu ta'ala anhu and regarded him as greatest among awliya Allah. He said, Shaykh's tasarruf, spiritual eminence, at his blessed tomb is as if it was during his lifetime. Ghaus al-Azam radiyallahu ta'ala anhu's existence is felt by all shuyukh throughout the world. Shaykh has divine connection and he is murad, absolutely loved by Allah. Tafhimat-e Ilahiyya, Volume 2.
Alright, this concludes the lecture. Before you go, you can find more information of many other Islamic topics like the one we discussed in this course at sahiiman.com/books. Hundreds of books available explaining multiple Islamic topics up for grabs for free. So do check it out. Thank you for signing up for this course. We hope you had a great time learning about this important topic as we had preparing this course for you. See you again for another exciting learning experience at the correct Islamic Faith International Academy. Until then, it's goodbye from us at Team CIFIA.